time for Youth Central Sports. From the hills and the mountains of Tennessee, it's the original Coach Carter. And somewhere off the strip of Las Vegas, it's the elder Rory T. Edwards. And somewhere near Mickey and Minnie Country in Orlando, it's Charles E. Morse. And now it's time for Youth Central Sports. Because sports is more than a game.
True that, true that. Somewhere near Mickey and Minnie Country. Yeah, I'm here in Central Florida as we seek down through the peaks and the valleys, Tennessee. Look, and there's the original Coach Carter. How's the original Coach Carter doing on this Wednesday?
Yeah, doing pretty good. A little rainy, a little windy, but we're doing well.
Yeah, you know, when I get up in the morning, I sit there and they have like the temperatures throughout the country and what the temperature is now and what's the high. So I always be checking you out to see what the temperature is like, because I know eventually it's going to be cold. But right now your temperature is good though. You know, did you say that it's raining?
Raining. We're getting effects of that storm coming up from New Orleans. Round about that way, we're getting a lot of that heavy rain coming through here. The temperatures are going to change a little bit, but it's going to be nippy and it's going to be cold.
Okay, well, this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. We've been around for about 5-6 years, and we talk sports, youth sports, all sports, because sports is more than just a game. True that, true that. You make sure that you follow the original Coach Carter on Twitter. What's your handle there, Coach Carter? What's your handle there on Twitter?
Vincent L. Carter, at Vincent L. Carter.
At Vincent L. Carter, and make sure that you that you subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Make sure that you like us on Facebook. We appreciate that very much so. And on the way, we have the guy out there near the strip. He's on the way. So I don't know if he's like hanging out at the stadium, if he's like near a slot machine, putting in some nickels or some quarters, but he'll be here shortly. Rory T. Edwards, the elder. So how's things as far as where you are there at the school? For those that don't know, that the original Coach Carter is at a high school in Tennessee, and I try to keep up to date on where they are during this pandemic when it comes to sports. Is football season over? Volleyball season? What's going on now at the school?
Won the 8th straight state championship the other night. Fantastic performance. They won in straight sets. Eight straight year, 15th title overall that they've won. Great performance. Their football team is going into the playoffs. We got one more regular season game. We're going into the playoffs, and basketball is scheduled to officially start on Monday.
Oh.
So all things being well, we'll be officially started, but we still have some concerns as it relates to the COVID numbers, the number of cases and hospitalizations. A lot of kids are being quarantined because they're being in the area of kids. So we still have that to go with, but right now it looks good. We're very proud of the volleyball team. They got through it. We're saying football will get through it, and we hope basketball will have that opportunity as well.
Vince, how your team looking this year? How's your basketball team looking this year?
We got 5 seniors coming back, so we're senior strong. We're an intelligent team. We got some other added talent that comes along. We could be on paper, we look very good. What I've seen so far in terms of what we've been able to put on the floor, very, very interesting with some added pieces. We should have a very good basketball team.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question and know that none of your players are watching. Okay, we going to say none of your players are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Since you've been there, what's been your best team since you've been there?
Probably 2 years ago.
Okay.
Actually last year and the year before. The year before that, we went to the state. Last year, we were 1 point away from going to the state. Those two teams are phenomenal. It's hard to compete to say the best team because each one of them were different. If you look at who went the furthest, you could say that. But as far as just pure talent on the floor, heart and hustle and fight and grit, these last two teams, last year and the one before that, they were dogs, man. They went at it real hard, and we were 4 points away from being a state from going to the state championship game. And the other night, and then we were 1 point away from making it to the state again last year. So two different teams, some are still makeup. So I'd say by far, but this team is coming up now could really surpass both of them.
And last year you had a key contributor that wasn't there at during the playoffs as well.
Yeah. Our big guy went down in one of the games. I'm truly believing had he been there, it would have been a tremendous difference. Whether we would have won or not, can't say that, but it would have definitely been a different game, no question about that. And still, we had a player come up and just shot a shot that went down the basket and jumped out. If he had made that, I think we would have won anyway. So a lot to come back, a lot to be excited about, we're excited about getting back on the floor, and we'll have that opportunity starting Monday if all goes well.
Now, do, do you follow Jim, or does Jim Clark follow you, on Facebook?
I think so. I
Did you
follow him.
did you see that story that he posted? Did you see that post about, well, let me see if I pull it up real quick. The story about the father that ended up stabbing the coach and the players. Did you see that story?
I don't recall seeing that.
Oh yeah, well, Jim posted a story about 3 days ago, Vince. During a practice, a coach decided to reprimand a 17-year-old player. The player made the decision to become physical and assaulted the coach. Now, two players jumped in to try to break up the fight, but the player's father came in, stabbed the coach, and stabbed the two kids. He was a 46-year-old guy, and that was it was football players, a football coach, and they was at practice and whatever that. But the 46-year-old guy and his son, I guess, are like 17 years old. The coach, whatever, there was an issue, and the coach, I don't know, yelled at him or said, I don't know if he made him do push-ups or something. But anyway, the 17-year-old didn't like it and jumped on the coach. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I wanted to ask you about just the whole mentality that we're dealing with now. I don't know, it's just the country now, whether it could be we're just all just in a bottle now, frustrated, crazy, the times that we're living in. But I know that, and I can't say that you haven't been associated or seen that kind of stuff where you are in the sense of here in Orlando, but we've all seen some crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not witnessed that. I've seen some blow-ups. I've seen a lot of some verbal confrontations to that would look like they were leading to something like that, but never actually got that far. For me personally, I've not been in very many situations where we didn't have control of what was going on. And by setting that culture up front and having people to understand what the expectations were, I think to some degree limited that. Will kids be disappointed when they get angry? Absolutely. But we set an environment where you understand you can articulate your thoughts. If you don't like it, here's how we deal with that. For as parents being at practices and stuff like that, we don't have parents in our gym during practice time. When it's closed, we don't allow anybody in. But I think it starts with the culture. I think it starts with the communication, and without a shadow of a doubt, it starts with relationship. If you do those things and you create those things, you're going to have a much better control over how things happen and from in those environments. When you don't do that, you run the risk of something like that happening. Lack of respect being given on either side or both sides that will lead to some craziness like that. And that's unfortunate because it gives a bad name to the game. It hurts the whole atmosphere of high school sports. It becomes a story when it really shouldn't be. I mean, but
Right.
obviously you have to support that, and that's unfortunate.
Right. Man, did you follow the World Series?
I know, as a matter of fact, my Dodgers were one of my favorite teams. I was a Brave and a Dodger fan, and then when one I couldn't lose. If the Dodgers didn't win, the Braves won, I would have been fine, and vice versa. It happened here with the Dodgers. Really happy for them. It's been a while. It was very exciting to see them go down and take that. I was really kind of attached to it for Magic's purposes. He now had an opportunity to win right across the board. The WNBA team, Spark team, won their championship. He's won it as a Laker, as a player. He's won it now also as an owner 5 times. He got 10 basketball championship rings, 5 from playing, 5 from being an owner. He got a Spark championship. Now he got a baseball championship.
Wow.
I mean, good grief. What else could you ask for? I mean, he has to be elated. He absolutely has to be elated. And I've been a Dodger fan for a long. I go all the way back to Tommy Lasorda, so I was really pulling for him, and I was excited. And it was actually some exciting ball. I didn't see much regular season at all, but got down the playoffs. I had a chance to watch quite a bit of it.
Have you been following everyone that I've seen asked about that pitching change in the 6th inning after he had only, we're talking about Tampa Bay now,
Yeah.
after he had thrown only 73 pitches. Everyone that I've seen answer that question have said that that was not a good decision. Not one person I've seen yet said, but and the reason why is because of the circumstances. And this is it, because if you lose, you lose. I mean, I'm saying you're going home.
Yeah.
And then supposedly this is your best pitcher, and he had retired all of their good hitters. I think there was 0 and 6 against him. Then they was getting ready to come up again, and then you can see the frustration on his face when he said he was coming out. You can even see the frustration on his face after the game when they interviewed him, and he basically he didn't understand, and he said he felt good. So, being a coach, and Vince, this is the thing. Let me ask you something. You and I come from an era where we wasn't into these analytics and pitch counts and da 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 da. You basically you played ball and you kind of went on a gut and a feeling. Now they got the analytics, they got pitch count, they got this, they got that, da da da. And somewhere down the line, I think there's something missing, whether or not there's something to it. But the eyeball, the gut feeling, the knowledge of the game supersede a lot of this stuff for me. For me personally, I would have left him in, but if, when, and woulda, shoulda. What you think?
Yeah. Well, today's game has changed. There are a lot of changes to it. Analytics is really huge now, and it does tell a great story. I think it does help a lot. I just don't think, and all the people I've ever talked to, when it comes to analytics, particularly in basketball, and I've talked to a few guys in baseball, a few guys is doing some calculating some statistics in football. While it's a great tool, it is not the end answer. It does not go. You always go by the eye test, is what I believe. I think the analytics helps you to get a better grasp on what's going on and what the potentials are, the tendencies are, what you have done, and potentially what you might do. But the eye test makes a difference. It comes down to a gut feeling. It comes down to your experience. It comes down to what you're trying to achieve. And let's be honest, sometimes coaches panic. Sometimes coaches are under pressure to make a decision. They make a wrong decision. Without understanding all of what went into that, I think I would have to right now join in with the majority and say I think I would have left him in there. But whatever that coach, and I have not read anything yet for his explanation. I'm sure in his mind he had a good reason for what he did. But it just seemed like with so much on the table that you're going to win. It's a winner go home anyway. It's a final game that you go for it. Now his decision, obviously, he saw something different or felt something different.
Well, Vince, what he said was his response was and other people responded to that and understood that. But he had this philosophy that he had throughout the season. So his point was, I just stayed with my philosophy, and that's all it was.
And I don't think, and that's what it comes down to, because if he had won, no one would have questioned his decision. They may have said, well, you should have. You should. If he's going by what you do, if you live and die by what you're accustomed to, you set out a format, you set out a schedule, a minute restriction, whatever you want to look at, and that's what you're comfortable with. That's what you go with, and that would be his fallback position. Now, did it work for him? No, it didn't. But I can understand him coming to that decision, saying, well, this is what I've done all season long. It has gotten me this far. I'm not going to change. I'm going to go with it. Now, obviously, it didn't work out this time. So it's hard to criticize him for because if that's his method of thinking, it's just like in any other sport. I lost a game in basketball because I made the mistake of going away from the one thing that got me there, trying to create something different. So it can happen on the other side, that you go away from what you do and it ends up hurting you. So in his case, while I may disagree, I definitely understand how he made that decision.
Okay, now let me. I'm going to switch it up a little bit, Vince. Did you hear about the Big East looking to play in the bubble? Did you see
Well,
anything on
I've
that?
heard some discussion on that. There's a lot of discussion that the bubble is not as easy. It sounds like a great idea, but it's very expensive. The NBA did a great job of pulling that off, and they want to be able to play, so they got to look at. So a lot of conversation going into that, because like what Ohio State game got canceled because of COVID. So they've given it a lot of thought. I don't know, dollars and cents got to come into play. So as far as I know right now, it's just a discussion.
Okay, and
It's an
actually,
idea.
you know what? I jumped ahead. I wanted to ask you, what did you think about the Justin Turner thing that he left and he came back? Uh, uh, was that crazy or what?
That given the sensitivity of COVID-19 and what we're doing and the possibility to infect, I mean, well, you could look at it this way. It was the final game, and he's gonna ride with it one way or the other. If they all quarantine after they win, what difference does it make? If they all quarantine after they lose, what difference does it make? But from a just a pure health standard, I think I would have stayed away. That was a little crazy for me, but I can understand wanting uh,
It,
to desire to celebrate with his team for such a long time coming, long time since they've been there and all of that. But I believe personally, common sense has to come into play. I think you could have done that from the clubhouse.
okay.
You could have, that's what I think. But
It, yeah. I'm going to say, for people that don't know, during the game, one of the major players, Justin Turner, was actually a test came back during the game.
right, he was
So
positive.
he had to leave the game. I think it was in the latter part of the game,
Right.
and he left. So when the Dodgers won, he came back. Not only did he come back, he took his mask off to take the team picture.
Not
So
smart.
it's just like it's
That's
like
not smart. I understand, and I read something about that earlier this afternoon. Isolation into the field was wrong, but everyone he came in contact with at risk. That was a bad decision. You put so many other people at risk that, yeah, we won the championship. You want to celebrate, but you could put other people at risk, and suppose those persons had underlying circumstances, you could really put them in a real bad state, which I thought, again, I think it was a bad decision on his part. But I understand him wanting to celebrate. I do. But I still think that's a bad decision.
yeah, it's not hard to put two and two together. I mean, it's just people
But the
just
commission
selfish, man.
is launched an investigation into it to really, I guess, to fully understand what happened. I mean, it's plain and simple. A bad decision was made. That's the way I look at it. A bad decision was made, and he's probably going to end up being with some kind of fine or something behind that because or whatever, however they want to address it. But I thought it was bad. I didn't think that was a smart decision.
Yeah,
Not at all.
I mean, when you think about who was that? Was what were the two coaches that was fined in the NFL? They was fined like $100,000. Not that
Yeah.
not that I can afford anything like that, but $100,000 for not wearing their masks.
Well, see, here's a point that I live and die by. If you set a rule and that's your policy, then that's what you stand on. And everybody, and those two coaches were fully aware. And I've watched coaches both at the collegiate level, the few that are playing, got some high school coaches, and then they're struggling to keep that mask on. Nobody can fight a good effort. But when you just blatantly just don't do that, and we're talking about one of the key factors in the community is two things. Two things that everybody talks about as critical for our success with COVID-19 is wearing a mask and social distancing. This it's not or it's not one or the other. It's not I'll do one and not the other one, and they mandated it. It's not if it's a mandate in the NFL. So you don't do that, you're subject to what happened to him, and I think that's the way it's supposed to be. You
Well,
didn't follow the protocol, so you get fined.
right. So my point that I was trying to make was that okay, so they fine these coaches $100,000. So what I was trying to say is, I wonder what they're gonna do to this guy,
Well,
because
when
if
they
they
look
fine
at
the coaches $100,000, what you said, I'm thinking like, okay, this guy, like, where do
he's
you
gonna get
begin in saying, okay, this is what we're gonna do? Because if
what
they
he should
did
be
this to
fined.
the coaches over here, and here he
Yeah.
is, he I don't know, you purposely took off the mask, and I don't know. That's to
Well,
me, that's just crazy.
you endangered a lot of people, and it's warranted a fine, and a fine it should be whatever they come up with it. I think, he may feel it's necessary. I did what was necessary, and I can't question that. But bad call in my book. Consequently, went against what they had in terms of protocol. Fine. Now we're gonna see what happens.
Okay,
How much? Because you're right. Because
right.
it hit some coaches pretty hard.
No, now Vince, I've been dying to ask you this all day. Ever since I saw this, I'd be like, okay, I can't wait to ask Vince.
Hmm.
What's the deal, and what did they get Arizona on when they're basically what are they on probation? What did they finally catch him on? What come from up underneath the dark clouds over there at Arizona? And do you have anything else that's been going on with the NCAA when under that
Well,
FBI investigation?
well, self is in. They've been following him for a while. They really looking. So they're levying 5 level 1 violations against him because they already had him on tape. It was foregone conclusion that they had him. It's just a matter of what they're going to do now. They said most severe infractions under the NCAA rule reportedly included a lack of institutional control, failure to monitor by the university. So in other words, people were turning their heads. It went a lack of head coach control from bench boss Sean Miller. I'm sorry, I said Sean Miller was the coach over there.
Right.
Uh, those are very serious violations, and they knew this. This is not new. They already had this. They really had this down. So now they receive a notice of allegation from the NCAA on Friday, um, but chose not to discuss or disclose any details. They're going to be fined. They're going to be put on probation, and the coach could be in probably maybe terminated or heavily fined and suspended.
Has anything else come out of that FBI investigation other than the Arizona? Oh,
There are
oh,
little small conversations that take place. Nothing big right now. I think what they're doing is dealing with the COVID situation first, and as they move forward, as they step forward, because this thing again, this on Sean Miller took place long before we went down for COVID. But I think now that COVID is, unlike some people saying that it's going away, I don't think it's going away. I just think they're starting to process a little bit further on that situation with the young man from Zion Williamson is still up in the air. There's still some discussion going on. There's several other schools that they're looking at as well, but it hadn't come out public yet. as I've researched and talked with people, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of investigation, excuse me, that's still going on, and documentation that's being changing hands, but no official word as of yet.
What's the NBA player? See, he done slipped my mind. The one from New Orleans that was at Duke.
Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Well, right now,
Anything else on?
nothing on that as of yet. There's some concrete information there, but how they're going to play that right now, nobody knows, because it would actually involve the school, and then that's going to put Coach K on the hot seat. And I do believe, and it's my personal opinion, that the NCAA would do anything they could not to involve him, but they're not going to have a choice, I don't think. Now they can cover it up, they can change it, they can just ignore it, but they're directly involved as of right now.
So is NCAA college sports basketball? Are we good? I mean, what's the talk? What's
Right now, they're trying to move forward. They're really trying to see how they're kind of doing what most basketballs are doing. We've been given the go ahead to go ahead and start practicing, or like we officially start on Monday. Some of the colleges already started going through their conditioning, going through their team workouts, trying to adhere to CDC protocol, and pray that the numbers in the area would come the season would allow them to play. Under what conditions? It could be all conference play. They may try to restrict them so they don't do a lot of traveling. It's up in the air right now, but they're trying to find a way to safely play this season, particularly since they were unable to play the tournament. They really want to try to do the season, so that's what they've been talking about. A lot is how best they could do that, and I don't think they've come up with a solid issue as of yet.
okay? Now you may have answered this question, but I was intended to ask this question last week, and you may have just answered it. Do you think that we have gotten to a place, regardless of the situation and what's going on, whether it's whatever sports, and we're talking about a college, high school, pros, do you think that we've gotten to the point that we're in a place that we're going to go ahead and play it anyway, that we are going to do it this way, but we're not going to play, but we're just going to go ahead and make adjustments and still play?
I think we're going to make adjustments and still play, leaning toward if it gets too bad, we'll have to stop. They want to try their best not to stop it if they can. They want to try to put butts in seats. They want to try to have seasons in order to facilitate, the sport itself, and revenue, because it's cost them a lot of money. A lot of programs and universities are suffering because football and basketball, depending upon the school, is a huge revenue generator. So I think they're going to try to play it. Excuse me. They're looking for the safest way, the most effective way they can do this, and still be socially responsible for these kids' health and the health of the fan as well. But they definitely want to put a product on the floor. Some kind of way, and I think that's what they're doing. Everything I read is saying, they got different versions. There's a lot of discussion going on about what they think they should do and how they should do it, but they're definitely leaning toward, let's put this thing on the floor. What will stop it would be in the state itself, that COVID is out of control. If we don't do something across the country, the numbers are going up. They're just getting to the point where, with the flu season coming, cold weather coming, that brings a whole nother layer of concern. And they're going to try their best to try to play around that and maybe limit travel, those kind of things in order to play, which will change what the schedule might look like. What they do not want to do, I can tell you this, they don't want to cancel the NCAA tournament again next year. They do not want to do that. And they're going to do anything they can to play whatever they can to make sure we can get to that.
Yeah, I know that you saw this. You saw where they canceled the Wisconsin Nebraska game. Now that game is canceled. It's not a reschedule. It's just canceled.
Right.
So I think there were some cases that broke out in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin, and see, Wisconsin is on fire right now. Their cases low. The cases are significant right now. So again, you cannot, well, hopefully not ignore that, because it's from a health perspective. We want to try to go to work. People want to try to get to school. Sports wants to really get back in play to create as much as possible the normal scenario that we can go ahead and live our lives. But in doing that, still, I think they are conscious of, or at least I'm hoping that they'll continue to be conscious of the health risks that exist when they do that, and protect those kids, protect themselves, protect coaches. Whoever, everybody, fans, coaches, kids, everybody. That's the ultimate goal while being able to play.
Back to baseball for a minute. Did you know that the Mets were for sale?
I had heard something about that. Didn't get much detail on it. I heard a little conversation about that. Kind of, well, I don't know what to think about that. I really haven't followed the Mets that much, but anytime you get a sale on a team, you gotta kind of peek your eye at that and figure out what's going on. Change of ownership, which could lead to a change of location, which I don't think they're going to even actually move them from there. But there are a lot of, it creates a whole lot of uproar, and it'll be interesting to see who buys this team, what group comes in and takes it over. That would be an interesting thing for me. Is who would the new owners be?
Did you see where the Utah Jazz is to be sold for $1.6 billion?
Yeah, the franchise has gained a lot of value over the year. They have not performed as well as people would like to see them on the floor, but they've been solid. And they're kind of in a there's nothing else around them. They're it. And from what I gather from a little bit of conversation I've had, they're solid financially in terms of the true value of what they're about. So I guess I'm not too shocked, because they buy these teams for millions, and over years they increase in value, that their values, and then they sell them for tons of money. And so the question I was asked, why are they getting rid of them now?
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
They look very promising. I thought they had a great, not a great, but a very good season last year.
Oh,
They were
yeah,
very
yeah.
competitive.
They did.
They got to the playoffs, and I mean, yeah, you want to win, but they got in there and they played well. They had some injuries that probably slowed them down, which everybody had, and when they were able to, so they competed well. I was, again, I haven't heard why they're being sold, but just how interesting it is now that you would sell them.
Yeah. Wow. It's funny because every time I think of the Utah Jazz, I'm thinking like, well, the millennials don't know that they were the New Orleans Jazz. That's how they got their name.
Right. And I don't know, I don't know if I can say categorically you're going to see teams move too much anymore, because they're building these fantastic arenas for teams to stay and play, and try to put butts in seats. And then the next thing you want to try to do is to get good, solid programs. So I don't think you're going to see too much moving of teams, unless the investors that come in are from a different area of the country or outside of the country and want to move them around. But basically, all of them are sitting in a good situation. Now it's just a matter of being able to put a winning product on the floor.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to. Oh, and following college football, and I wanted to ask you this.
Hmm.
Trevor Lawrence, he's been in the news a lot
Right,
and saying that there's a good, and everybody's saying that he's not, but he's saying there's a good chance that he's going to, because they're saying he's the overall pick in the NFL draft. But Trevor Lawrence is a
right,
quarterback for Clemson, saying that
correct.
there's a good chance that he will probably come back, but everybody's saying he's just blowing smoke right now. You think he's going to come back?
I think you look at the NFL, and you got to look overall at the NFL, in my opinion, to see what their future looks like with COVID. Where would he actually fall in a ranking, which he would
Jets,
probably be high.
Jets,
Then
Jets.
he's got to look at teams that he might go to and decide whether or not he wants to do that. I've always been a proponent of go ahead and finish the 4 years and get the 4 years of experience and get your degree and come out and then go, because opportunity will still be there. It could, in his case, it could change the team that he would have a chance to go to. If he's motivated by money, then go ahead and take it. But if you're really talking about trying to be on a quality team that you're going to have a long career on, you might want to rethink that. And Clemson's rolling right now. It's going to be interesting to see how they finish out the year, because they're playing very well right now. And I would, it's hard to advise a kid about that because I don't know his motivation. Some kids, they just want to get to the NFL. Some can wait, but I don't know. He's got a lot of notoriety right now. He's playing pretty well. What's his motivation? If he was asking me, I'd say come back there. A lot of people don't like that because what they're saying is he runs the risk of getting hurt and not being able to get there. And he runs the same risk of getting there and being hurt, but at least he'll be there and he'll get paid. It depends on how you look at it.
I'm going to ask a crazy question. Or how would this work if you would know the answer to this? Let's just say that I'm him, right? And I say, well, you know what? I want to go back and play another year. But I want to take out a $10 million insurance policy if I get hurt. Am I allowed to do that?
I think you are. I think you can go ahead. I don't know what the NCAA. The only thing would be compliance and NCAA's rules on that, and I'm not exactly sure about that. That's something I would definitely want to look into doing that. But it makes sense. There are other players do it in other sports, but him being an amateur and being the NCAA has its own set of rules and regulations. I know in some of soccer overseas, guys do that. They insure those guys. They insure those guys' hands, but not at the collegiate level that I'm aware of. So I'm not sure that's possible. I don't really know the answer to that. That's a great question, something I would look into to try to find out. It would kind of make if it was allowed, but because of the unfair advantage it has, that the NCAA probably would not allow that, but I'm not sure.
But what's interesting is that I'm not surprised that they haven't come up with a way to try to keep those guys in college to say we will pay the insurance policy for you to stay here.
Well, see, I don't know if they can do that. I know.
No,
The
I'm saying
NCAA.
I'm surprised they haven't come up with a way to make it legal. Is what I'm saying.
Not well, yeah, no, because the NCAA really is looking at something a little bit different right now, and they're looking at survival, and they don't want any liability. They want survival. But it'd be interesting. I mean, my school of thought is to go back and finish up. That's what I would say. But there's different opinions on that, and I think a lot of that has to do with his goal. What goal does he have? What is it that he wants to do? I mean, are you in a hurry to get to the NFL? Is it really necessary for you to go right now? And I can't answer that. I can't answer that. The kid's playing. He's obviously will he be a number one pick next year? If he waited to next year and goes back and play, and will he be number one again? Depends on how well he performs.
Right. Well, I saw up on the screen, and I don't know if if you read up on this. I didn't read anything on it. I just saw it up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Is LeBron looking to miss the first month of the season if the season starts in in January?
Well, there is some discussion about that. There's not a total agreement on that concept. What they are discussing right now. Let me see. I had there was a discussion of the season starting. I think in January, which would allow these guys to have the rest of October off. Obviously, then November, then around December they're going back to training camp and trying to get ready to go and start the season late January. There seems to be some saying okay, others saying no. LeBron, being a self-appointed spokesman, is offering an opinion that he's not in agreement with that. He's looking well. I think one of the comments was of him coming in later. I don't want to start on LeBron, but you see the Kawhi Leonard situation created so much confusion over there in with the Clippers and his arrangement of how he was going to play and when he was going to play. Now you see it rolling back down and over in this situation. They could be different, but they create the same kind of problem. That would leave the Lakers, one guy short from the starting group. It has impact. So I don't know whether he's trying to leverage that, knowing DeBon, what I know about him and my opinion of him. He's trying to leverage his celebrityism, his celebrity. So which I disagree with. But if you have a valid conversation, sit down and talk about it. You don't have to take it to the airways. Just sit down with the league and let's talk about it, because there is some discussion going on, a great deal of discussion going on about that. But if you remember in the bubble, there was LeBron took a lead on stopping play, and a lot of players didn't agree with him on that. He was a self again spokesperson of what was taking place, but an awful lot of players did not agree with his thought pattern and the prognosis of what he has put out there. So again, the NBA tends to lean itself over to whatever's going on with LeBron, and I just I can't comment on that anymore. I mean, I just don't get that.
I was trying to read what is there a trade going on talking about the Houston Rockets?
Yeah, there's a lot of trade conversation going on right now because the Rockets just hired Paul Silas's son. Steven Silas has been hired by the Rockets, and so there's an awful lot of conversation around the league about people that will move, what would take place. It's all speculation right now, but there is some conversation about it. And then this is a new coach coming in, and he's got to put his finger or his touch on this team, and so it leaves it open. Stan Van Gundy is going to the Pelicans. What does he do down there with some of that talent he's got? If he's going to build it around Zion, some of the older players that he's got. A lot of changing of the guards going on out there. So yeah, I read something. I posted something. I think it was last week that I found on LinkedIn about the number of possible trades of people that you know about and people that you don't know, because they really got to. Everybody's trying to be competitive. COVID has hurt everybody. A lot of people out. Some people have retired, not coming back. So yeah, there's a lot of trade talk out there, right?
It's more than crazy.
Well, Embiid is a possibility with Doc being there, although Doc is high on Embiid and Simmons. I expected the Rockets to make some kind of trade. Then I personally didn't think they were going to try to keep Harden and Westbrook. I really did not think, and I still don't think, that Embiid is going to survive Doc in Philadelphia because of the way Doc likes to, what Doc is going to want from him. So a lot to be desired out there. I mean, it's any and everything. You got several guys that you aren't aware of that are on the block. You got some talent coming up. You got this kid. The Hornets are highly interested in taking Wiseman, number 3 draft pick, where the Warriors were looking at going after him. So it just depends on what they want and who they want, but it's a lot of movement, and you're going to hear more and more about that shortly.
Were you surprised that the Rockets didn't hire Van Gundy?
A little bit, but remember he was there once before,
right?
And so they may be looking at is let me get a fresh set of and this is let me say that personally I applaud them, because it's been a carousel of coaches. The same coaches get hired back and forth, all these assistants that are coming along. And this kid here is a seasoned assistant. He's been around a while. They're ready to take on more responsibility, and I think I would applaud them for getting a fresh face in there and giving somebody a different chance to get in and try to do something.
Well,
by the way, did you, Lenny Wilkins' birthday, 83 years old today.
Oh,
wow. One of my favorite persons, Lin, huh, big fan of his.
Vince, I remember watching Lenny play. I remember him playing.
Yeah, I do too. I remember Lin as
So,
a player.
I mean,
And
I also remember him as a coach, but I remember him playing. But
I do too.
right, I had a friend of mine that played in the NBA, and he said that Lenny was his best coach that he ever coached. That coached him.
He was a heck of a coach. I mean, he was a player's coach.
Right,
And when I hear them say that, that says a lot about the guy that's coaching on the other side of that. He was a I loved him as a player, but I really loved him. I really got to know him more as a coach, and I just loved his personality and loved his approach to the game. Not loud, kind of no nonsense, low key, but really great motivator. Yeah, those guys playing the best ball they could play.
yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about him about 2 weeks ago, and the funny thing is, I was saying because I remember the comment, gentlemen. I don't know if you remember John Bagley that played,
I do.
but John Bagley
Yeah,
was the one who actually told me that. But I was just thinking about him about a week ago, and I was wondering. I said, I wonder if Lenny Wilson is too old a coach now, because he
I
was
would
such a
think
good coach.
you
But
remember if you think about Paul Silas,
right,
you think you also think about whew, guy was the Lakers coach, Phil Jackson. Physically, those guys got to the point where they couldn't. Phil had to have a special chair. Silas had to have a special chair. Some of that previous playing from years going by, and as they got older, it began to hurt them. I think Lynn is just, he's way all that traveling and stuff. That probably would be too much for him. I understand he's in decent health at
right,
83, but still, that's a lot of traveling, especially if they get back to a normal schedule, 82 games a year, and you
right,
traveling back. And I don't know if he would want to put up with that or not, or if he physically can put up with it.
right. Okay, well, NFL, Odell Beckham out for the
Done for the season.
yeah.
Des Bryant being looked at. I don't know whether it's this season or they're trying to fill some holes. You look at the Cowboys; they've lost two quarterbacks.
Right,
And I think Dalton is a possibility. He's on concussion protocol, but they're looking. And someone talked about Kaepernick. This is a great time for Kaepernick to be considered. Any time's a great time for Kaepernick to be considered, in my opinion. But you got a lot of injuries and season-ending injuries that have taken place here over the last week or so.
did you did you think that hit on Dalton was a bad play?
Um, Again, I think it's I looked at it two or three times, and I come away thinking it was a bad hit. I'm really thinking it was a bad hit. Everybody seemed to respond that way. McCarthy was upset. See, while we're there, let me talk about the Cowboys for a minute. And everybody know I'm a huge Cowboy fan, but I am so disappointed. Not because we're losing. I mean, you lose, you lose. I mean, it's the way we lose. I mean, we can't stop anybody. But more importantly about that, than the defense being so poor, is the rumbling coming out of the locker room, and it's coming from the coach. The head coach is not happy with their response to certain situations on the field. He's talking about his coaching staff. He's talking about not, if they're not prepared to play that as a head coach, that's his job. So he's got to do something about that. Now he doesn't like the way the players responded to Dalton's injury. Um, that kind of conversation is not a good motivation, and from what I believe, and from where I stand. And I think that's one of the things that's hurting the Cowboys now. A lot of expectation. Yeah, you lost Dak Prescott. You weren't playing good defense anyway, but still, his offense. You were in the game. You were in the game because he was playing exceptionally well offensively. Then Zeke comes up with two big fumbles. He's trying to read. They got all kind of turmoil going on over there, and now you've gone down two quarterbacks. You're now to your third string quarterback. That if Dalton can't, which I don't think he'll play this week. I haven't heard anything, but I don't think he's playing this week. So you got to put this other kid in, then they got to go out and find another quarterback. A lot of controversy over there, and that's going to be tough to overcome. They could be looking at a bad season. I hope not, but they could. Right now they tied, for what 2 games they won, but it's not looking good. Mechanically, when you talk about what the makeup of a team, they're in trouble. And those are my guys, but they're in trouble.
Right.
In my opinion.
And Antonio Brown to the Bucks. Antonio
I could
Brown back in the
and
league.
lead that. I I don't. That's going to be interesting. I just know I'm surprised that they allowed that. I know that's one of those situations where they gave Brady a nod and let him have his way. That's what I'm saying. But they think that's an efficient way to do that. I think he's toxic. I don't think he's going to be on. He's going to have to be on his best behavior, or he may not see the rest of the season at the end of the season. But I'm so surprised that happened. I'm just shocked. That absolutely shocked me.
Let me ask you before we actually go over the games: is New England that bad, and is Tampa Bay that good?
It's tough to say. Cam had a bad day. He just simply had a bad day, and it just played itself out. They were off kilter that day. Up until that point, I thought he had played very well. He just had a terrible day. On the other side of that coin, I really personally I don't think Tampa's that good, but they're playing well, and you can't argue against that. He's had 2 good games where he's gone out and showed his wares. I don't think they're what people think they are. I don't think so. I don't think the Patriots are as bad as people say that people want them to be. But right now you got to go by what they're putting on the field right now. Right now Tampa's ahead a little bit. Cam had a real bad day, real bad day, and the
Yeah.
question can he recover?
Last week's scores: the Eagles came back to beat the Giants. I was kind of shocked.
Me
They,
too.
yeah,
Me too. That blew my head. Like, oh my God, how did that happen?
right. The the Saints beat the Panthers.
I didn't
The
surprise me.
Bills all over the Jets.
That's not surprising.
Right. The Browns and the Bengals. We're talking about Odell Beckham is out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know what happened. Well, the Cowboys 25-3 lost to
No,
Washington.
no offense and defensively just really gave up two really big plays. We're not tackling well. And Washington, which to me is probably not the strongest team out there,
Nope.
not even the strongest team in the division, but they were able to run the ball really well, and then they threw the ball for big yardage. So Cowboys got defensive problems. Offensively they sputtered also, but they always had bad field position. Just that's just and they're 3 and out. They're not getting anything. So. But more importantly, the defense is just giving up too much for them to overcome,
The
and to
Packers,
lose to your arch rival. That hurts.
right. Packers beat the Texans. Texans is just a bad team, I guess. Wow. The Lions over the Falcons. The Falcons seasons they're done, I guess. The Steelers and the
Well,
Titans. That was a good game.
game that was a good game. I think Detroit and Atlanta turned out to be a pretty good game. But Detroit came back and outplayed those guys. Those guys just can't get over the hump down there. But then the Titans, man, they really showed themselves over there, and they're a darn good football team. But it just says something about the Steelers too. Now they're a darn good football team. Ben Roethlisberger, man, you can't count him out yet. Ain't count him out yet.
The Buccaneers over the Raiders.
Kind of surprised by that. because I thought the Rays were playing pretty good ball, but the Buccaneers had a good day. They let Brady get away from him, let him connect, let his Gronkowski get loose for a couple of plays. I think he maybe even scored a touchdown. So can't beat him if you let him have his way. That's the one thing I do know about. You can't let him have his way. He had plenty of
Yeah,
time he was able to sit there and throw that ball at will. That he's a better quarterback than that. You can't do that.
yeah. The Chief beat the Broncos.
And I mean, I expected that.
Right. The Jaguars. Who lost to the Chargers.
I kind of expected that. Although the Jaguars just aren't playing well, they just don't have enough, and they may have a spark or two, but they're just not. They're just not playing well right now.
The 49ers all over the Patriots. You were talking about the bad game that Cam played.
And he just couldn't do it. And the 49ers, I mean, those guys that play good ball over there. NFL, you can say what you want. You give one of these teams an edge, it's hard to beat them. If you let them have their way and they get that edge on you, and that's what happened. And they just couldn't come back for it.
Seahawks and the Cardinals. That was a good game.
That was a darn good game, man.
Yeah, that was a great game.
That was a good game. That was a good game. I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see those guys out there.
Overtime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good. That was darn good. That was worth sitting. That was worth watching.
the um, the Rams beat up on the Bears.
Kind of not surprised by that. I kind of expected I would have expected the Rams to win the game. Not like that though, but I would have definitely expected the Rams to win.
Coming up tomorrow, you got the Falcons against the Panthers.
Yeah,
Panthers.
I just don't have any faith in the Falcons right now. I mean, I just and I don't know. I'm gonna get the Falcons a nod. I'm gonna get the Falcons a nod.
Okay.
I just think they're gonna try to play a little bit better ball.
Vikings and the Packers. I'm going with the Packers.
Ooh, I got to go with the Packers on the Packers playing good ball though, but
Right.
you let the Packers get in a groove, and it seems like they're kind of getting that way. I'm going with the Packers. You can't count Aaron Rodgers out.
Do you think the Bengals have a shot against Tennessee?
Quite honestly, no, I don't.
Well,
I think
then and then I gotta ask you, you think the Jets got a shot against the Chiefs?
no, no. Anybody playing the Cowboys got a good shot.
Yeah.
They got a good shot at winning.
the the Colts are playing the Lions.
The Lions could beat the Colts. I mean, because the Lions play pretty good ball. I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Here's a good game. The Steelers playing against Baltimore.
I still like to see the Steelers, but that's a good game. It could go either way. That's almost a toss up in my mind for me personally. But I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh.
Okay, if they're playing at Baltimore, I'm going with Baltimore. If they're playing
Mm.
in Baltimore, the Rams against the Dolphins. Yeah, I asked you last week about the quarterback change, but if the Dolphins are winning, and if that's what you're trying to do, why the switch?
Money. This
Huh?
guy they brought Fitzgerald in with the understanding you're there until Tua gets healthy. I don't care if you go out there and go undefeated. This is the deal. And he went out there and he shopped himself very well that he may end up somebody's quarterback next year, or he may end up back again. Hopefully Tua doesn't get hurt. But that's their future. That's where they got their money, and that's the way that's the way that situation was set up. It seems so unfair because the young man is playing so well, but it was understood you'll play until he's healthy, till he's 100%. They got to put him back in.
Okay, Patriots and the
Then
Bills.
I think the Patriots will find a way to beat the Bills.
I'm going to go with the Bills. Um, the Raiders in Cleveland.
I'm gonna go with the Raiders.
Okay. Chargers and the Broncos. I'm going to go with Chargers.
I'm I'm going with Chargers on that.
Saints and the Bears.
Thanks.
Saints. 49ers. Oh, 49ers and Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Oh, I wish Rory was here. The Buccaneers and the Giants.
Like to see the Giants pull that off. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave on a hope that the Giants can pull it off.
Oh yeah.
How about them Cowboys? Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? They're playing against the Eagles.
There's a strong possibility they can get their brains beat out by the Eagles.
Yeah.
If the Eagles can exert just a little bit of energy, they'll beat their brains in. So it's going to be a true test for the Cowboys. You lost inside your division. This is probably, all these teams are your arch rivals. I mean, Washington is probably by far your greatest rival. You just sucked the big win bag to them. Now you're going to come back and let Philadelphia outplay you. It's possible, though, because they're not playing well. And Philly is really trying to do it. They're really putting forth a better effort than the Cowboys. So, but it could be interesting at the same time, which I don't think it will be. I hope it will be, but I don't think so. I think Philly wins.
Now
I'm going with the Cowboys.
I see Rory. Rory, can you hear me? Nope. I think he was there for a second, and now he's gone. Because his picture's there. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I don't see. Yeah. Okay. He's gone. Okay. So that's actually all of the games in the NFL. So, with that being said, this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Monday at 11 p.m. We're at www.youthcentralsports.com. We're also on Twitter, Periscope, and Facebook. Make sure that you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, and make sure that you hit the like button. That's what we're into now, into the social media world. Also, you can hit the original Coach Carter up on Twitter. He puts out some pretty good stuff out there, man. He put out some pretty good stuff.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
with basketball season coming up, which means that you're going to be like really, really, really busy. By the way, even though I know that it was a crazy time, it was a different time, but you still could have come to Florida, this past summer. You know that, right? Right?
Florida was on fire down there.
Huh?
I started coming to Florida, but Florida was like hot coals. It was so hot down.
No.
I want to go, but I don't want to go that bad.
That's funny.
I'm scared to drive in or fly in. So maybe next summer, But we're right this summer off.
Yeah. No. Well, I was hoping. Well, I was hoping to see you.
Yeah, I hope to get that way, but maybe next year. Yeah, maybe over the holidays. It depends upon how the weather goes. I got a few days here and there. I've got to go see my daughter in Carolina. If I don't do that, it's going to be hard times on me. But I do want to get to Florida because there are a lot of people down there I need to see as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that you will make it this way sometime soon, because you didn't make it at all over the summer. So
Get the numbers down, and I'll be there.
say that again.
Get the numbers down, and I'll be there. Get the COVID infection numbers down, and I'll be there. All I need is a small window, and I'll scoot in there in a heartbeat.
Well, with that being said, did did we? Well, no, I was going to ask you something, but I ask you once we hang up. But anyway, this is the original Coach Carter. I'm Charles Morse. Usually we have the guy that's close to the script Strip, not script, but strip in Vegas. You know, I really would like to go out there, and I would like to see that stadium. I mean,
Yeah, stadium is supposed to be. Roy was saying that taking pictures now is more difficult than now that they're open because it really got you barricaded out. He could take pictures, but you don't get to see it as well. But now, I saw a picture on TV the other day. They scanned it a little bit. It's a heck of a facility,
right.
and the Raiders are playing decent ball in it, and everybody's so excited. But yeah, I'd love to be able to get a tour inside of that bad boy. Maybe when I get out to Vegas, I can do that.
Well, we would like to invite you to join us for Brother Can We Talk. That is Sunday at 7 p.m. By the way, I got some great feedback from those from last week from watching John Carlos, by the way.
I did too. I got some unsolicited information from people who I wasn't sure they were even watching Brother King Talk, and they were commenting about the episode that we aired and how much they enjoyed it and how well it went. So I was very pleased by that. Shocked to hear from them, but also happy that they had a chance to enjoy it, and I had a chance to go look at it. And I'm still sending it out to people who I mentioned it to, and they said, "Oh man, please send me that link. I'd like to take a look at that." So, building up our followers by putting out quality product that I think people can recognize and associate with. And Dr. John Carlos did an outstanding job, in my opinion, and our panelists did very well as well. So, great night, I thought.
All right, that's Brother Can We Talk. It's on Sundays at 7 p.m. If you'd like to find out more information, just follow the original Coach Carter. Check out his Facebook page. Check out my Facebook page, and you can find out more information on it. Again, this is Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Charles Morse, original Coach Carter, and I understand the guy out in Vegas was having some internet issues, so he'll be with us next week. So, with that being said, everybody, please go out and vote. Please go out and vote. Please go out and vote. Make sure that there's proper distancing. Make sure you have your mask. Make sure that you use some common sense. Be careful, be safe, and everybody be blessed.
You've been watching Youth Central Sports. Join us next week because sports is more than a game.